r/Niceguy stories by Redmond Dtes. My entire family accepted a nice guy as a family friend until he showed his true colors. I never really realized this guy that I knew for years would be considered a nice guy until recently, as well as how traumatizing the ordeal was to my whole family. Brace yourself, I'm going through 15 years of red flags, so excuse the long post. I tried to condense it as much as possible. Also, trigger warning for racist comments made by this dude at the end. Back in 2005, my mom and dad started going to this culty church. The church is a whole other story, and brought my eldest sister K, 12, my middle sister P, 9, and I, 4, to this place, where of course we met people who wanted to be friends with us. I do not remember how we met Niceguy because I was very young, but all I remember is him coming over to our house and mainly hanging out with my dad because the strict social rules of our church was that men mainly hung out with other men unless they are pursuing someone because God put it on their heart that they are supposed to get married. He didn't look like the stereotypical fedora wearing nice guy, other than the fact that he was very portly and only wore a blue dress shirt, black slacks, black dress shoes, had his hair always combed in a way that looked like it was molded onto his head like those old Ken dolls from the 90s, and had a full mustache. He mainly hung out with my dad and watched weird comedy things, but would also talk a lot to my mother about spiritual stuff and theology, and would show me K&P cool educational videos and computer programs, and give us gifts such as exotic fruits that my working class fighting to stay above the poverty line family could only dream of trying. Mom liked him hanging around because he was contributing to some of our homeschool education, could potentially be someone to evangelize and convert my dad and make him stop abusing us, and also because she felt like she could talk to him and helped with both handyman work and also fixed computer problems. Even though I enjoyed the gifts he brought, I still had a bit of an off feeling about him, but I assumed it was because he mainly hung out with my dad. We were not the only ones this guy hung around. He seemed to like to hang around the families of the church who had a dynamic where there were absent or abusive husbands, and where the woman had to take more responsibility in the household. People seemed to like him, and he was a Christian, so I shrugged off any weird feelings I had towards him, and blamed myself for being ungrateful. When I was 10, my parents separated, and my mom took me K&P to live away from our hometown for a couple of months, in order to allow my dad to either find a decent job and work towards fixing his issues, or file for divorce. I thought interactions with Niceguy would stop there, because I thought he would be friends with my dad, and not associate with us. However, I was wrong, and he wrote lots of letters of spiritual encouragement to my mom, still mailed us exotic dried fruits, and wanted to Skype with my sisters and I almost every day. When we returned home and filed for divorce, he visited us every day, sometimes staying from morning to midnight, either just talking to us or playing video games. I noticed this behavior of him wanting to do everything with us, more than the other families he hung around with, and often wanted to talk primarily to my now single mother. I was feeling overwhelmed because I was recovering from 10 years of abuse from my father and didn't particularly want a new man, particularly this man, to be my stepfather, and I was increasingly convinced that this dude was trying to get with my mom. I expressed my concern to my mom, in which she told me that she was enjoying being single and didn't want to marry anyone and was not interested in Niceguy. She even asked Niceguy point blank if he wanted to marry her, and he awkwardly spluttered about how he and my mom were just friends and brother and sister in Christ and nothing more, but I was not convinced. I grew increasingly frustrated with him because he would arrive unannounced pretty much every day, which gave me anxiety because some days I just wanted to be at home with mom, K&P, and we would be expected to feed him what we had in the house, which was not much considering my mom was now single trying to support 3 kids on her own and give him our full attention, which sometimes I just wanted to hang out with my mom and sisters. Alone without someone from the outside coming in. I decided the best course of action to make my point clear was to start boycotting Niceguy. Whenever I heard a knock on the door, I would go hide in my room and not leave for any food or water unless dragged out by my mom or Kay until he went home. I also had lots of nightmares about him doing the things my dad used to do to me and keep a tally of how many I had in a week. It didn't help that nice guy started using a strategy to see if I was avoiding him on purpose by waiting until I was alone at church and would try to corner me until I faked being ill or one of my friends found me. He then told mom that I was avoiding him and that it hurt his feelings and that my actions were getting in the way of their friendship, which made my mom mad and caused her to punish me for these actions by not allowing me to have contact with my childhood best friend because I was not allowing her to be around her best friend, despite me expressing how uncomfortable he was making me feel and how I overheard my friends and the ladies of the church gossiping about how he would make a wonderful Christian father to be an example of Christ to these 3 girls. Because I loved my friend so much, I decided to write him an apology letter and acknowledge that my mom was right about him being only a friend. However, my gut feeling was proven to be correct when I was 13, because during an outing he had with my family, my mom offhandedly mentioned how she was never going to marry again and that she was happy being single to nice guy, which caused something in him to snap. He started yelling at my mom about he loved her, how she was leading him on, and that she was a snake used to test him. I didn't hear the rest of the conversation because Kay decided to usher P and I away from the scene until it cooled down. After that he apologized and said it was some sort of mental health issue, which mom believed. He still kept visiting, but after that incident mom began to realize how taxing he was on our mental health, and we would hide from him whenever we heard him knock at the door until he went away. However, we still allowed him to visit occasionally because he was considered to be a close friend of P because of their love of science. Everything seemed to go more smoothly, other than a few instances where he showed some odd spiritual beliefs about mental health and family dynamics, which some of them ticked Kay off to the point where she wouldn't speak to him for a long time. He even seemed okay with us leaving the culty church and started going to Bible studies at our other church. However, it all came to a climax in 2020 when he asked to talk to my mom alone without KP or I. I wasn't present at this moment, so all I know is my mom's account. So we decided to keep up visiting after the initial quarantine, to have social distancing meetings with our friends around a bonfire in our yard. The conversation started out normal until my mom mentioned something about the Black Lives Matters protests in passing, which caused the nice guy to become angry again and started yelling some awful things about people of color, like how they didn't deserve rights and that they will all burn in hell for the protests, until he was red in the face. Mom of course told him that she disagrees with him and that what he said was not something Jesus would approve of, but then he turned on her saying that because she has chosen to raise us girls as a single mother with no God-fearing man in the house, we will become too masculine and violent and will end up in prison. He then started rambling about how great Donald Trump is and about how QAnon is a prophet sent from God, and told my mom that if she didn't vote for Trump, P will commit suicide, which is a low blow because P tried to commit suicide a few years prior, and that the true children of Christ will come and purge the false believers after Donald Trump is elected as president. My mom said that she thought that he was gonna kill her until Kay came out because she heard him yelling and fake needing my mom for something inside so she could escape. After that, he continued to send my mom hateful emails about how she was a whore who led him on and how our family was going to hell because we didn't hate black people. It became so concerning that my mom's employer offered to have our family hide in their basement for a couple of weeks until the heat of the election cooled off. Thankfully, it never came to that, and after a couple of emails about how the election was rigged and that the insurrectionists on January 6th were actually Antifa, we finally lost touch with him, and now we have moved to a completely new state. I still have nightmares about him stalking me and my family, but other than that he is just a memory and we are all now moving on. Anyways, sorry for the long post, but TLDR. Nice guy tries to get my mom for 15 years, makes children uncomfortable with cornering them, and weird religious ideologies, then finally gets violently mad at mom, and threatens her for saying that racism is bad and tries to win her over by insulting our entire family and spewing QAnon ideals, and telling her that we will be hunted and killed once Trump is re-elected as president. That's all folks. Thank you for watching. If you like videos like this one, why not like and subscribe for more? Have a nice evening.